Jumping on in to game 2. This is the second live stream I've done of a recording. I always land on one concurrent viewer. Just sitting there. How are you, buddy? How you doing? Pretty awesome opening hand. So I can curve into pretty powerful cards. Leave open my red mana. Scorching Dragonfire. Green-white, nothing to do on turn 2. Which is pretty amazing. This is a high aggro color combination. Also one of the most powerful decks that you can build in M21. It's just a green... Oh god. Green-white counters matters. So not too exciting there. I am looking for a card draw, so I'm going to go ahead and Rousing Read. Ooh. So the card that I discard here is a little bit debatable. And it might be Lofty Denial. My opponent is ahead of me in the curve, and I don't foresee leaving open mana very often. I have pretty proactive plays. It's between Lofty Denial and Unsubstantiate. But I'm going to drop the counterspell. It's a little bit weird, but I like all the other cards in my hand quite a lot. And I do plan to play proactive cards every single turn, so I won't have the mana to cast it. I'm highly encouraging him to answer the 2/3 flyer now, where I draw a card every turn. Citizen Training, +1 power, trample, draw a card, which is pretty good. It means he's not doing anything too meaningful this turn. He could be holding open 2 mana for a swift response to kill off my 2/3 flyer. Okay. Kind of weak plays overall. I should have waited for the card draw before playing a spell there. So if I drop this guy, I can pump him to be a 4/3. But I'd rather put the dragon down and then have mana open for a spell. He has nothing that can block right now. He's no mana open. So I'll take the card draw. Get my Mr. Durgan down. And now on his turn, I can counterspell, bounce, or burn. And it's probably going to be a burn on the 4/2. DMND. No flavor text? No flavor text. Pass to attackers. So I'll go ahead and burn this down. And if he has some kind of hexproof or indestructible, that's okay. So protection from red, he's going to hit me for 5. But he's also not making great use of his mana now. And swift response, so he did have that in hand. I could bounce while my opponent doesn't have mana. I can cast any of these spells at instant speed. But I think I'm going to let my opponent untap. So I have 6 mana open. I can use a 2-mana spell and cast Goblin Wizardry. But I might just want to counterspell this turn. He's thinking pretty hard. This is kind of interesting. I could counterspell, or I could just bounce whatever he puts counters on. Which are both rather good. Huh. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and counterspell, though. Lofty Denial. This has trample, so I won't be able to cast Goblin Wizardry this turn. Bounce the cat to his hand. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spells in my graveyard. So I can make a 4/4 and return something like Scorching Dragonfire, which is going to be pretty good. Or I could look for a future like double cast of Wizardry. But the best use of my mana right now is to cast Overload. Or I could just take back a counterspell, then my opponent can't play anything. But it's hard to say what's better here. Alright, I'll take Lofty Denial. He'll be able to see it. So it's a little bit worse because of that. Okay. So I'll take out the Death Toucher. I don't want my opponent to have good blocks. And now I can pump my guy quite a lot. But I'm sitting at 7 mana, so if I cast the Battle Shaman, it means I can't cast Goblin Wizardry, but I don't have payoffs for it yet. I need to start pressuring my opponent. I'm somehow running out of cards this game, where I had quite a few free card draws. Now he probably gets down something huge. No, he has nothing huge in hand. So if he tries to double block my 4/4, that counts as 3 creatures dying. For each non-token creature, so it'll count as 2. I won't get a count for the weird dying. Towards Gadrak's treasures. Making a 4/2. So I'm kind of lucky that he's playing a lot of these low. Do I trade the dragon or do I take 4? I think I take 4. It's quite painful. But I think it has to happen. Okay, so now I have 8 mana. I could have done that on his turn. He double blocks. I get 2 treasures. So 2 more and I can start attacking in with the 5/4 flyer. He just has all the Pride Malkins. Gonna make it 3/2. So looking for Rousing Reed out of the deck. A second Goblin Wizardry would be quite good. Opt here is pretty nice. So we'll pump one of them and see if he blocks the other one. Pretty soon I'll be threatening lethal. You can do it. Block the 3/2. Which I don't blame him for doing. He has to be somewhat defensive. And he might have his own combat trick. So he's going to surge his... Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. What did that even do? Oh, okay. So place a counter and double the number of counters on target creature. This is a 6/5. That's amazing. So I'm glad I clicked the right button there. I did want the 5/5. That is huge. Ooh, okay, this card is really, really good. If one or more +1 counters would be put on a creature you control, put that many +1 on that creature instead. Whenever he dies, you gain life equal to its power. Yeah. This is like the ultimate payoff card for the 1/1 counter deck. So, pretty good for him. Fortunately, he's already used a ton of his +1 counter synergy cards. Quite a lot of his deck, actually. But it could be difficult to close this game out. I don't have quite enough burn in the deck to get the best use out of Gadrak. I needed like a couple more Spitfires. Whenever I sack a treasure now, I deal 1 damage off of the Havoc Jester. So if these die... Okay. So I can block here. If they both die, get 2 more treasures, I can swing in for 5 damage in the air and pump it. If he has a pump spell, I can sack 2 treasures to deal an additional 2 damage. Okay. So this is going to be 8 counters now, and it has trample. So as base power 2, it's going to attack in for 10 damage. I'll take 5 trample damage. So actually, So I'm going to do this now. Sack this for a red. Burn the 2/2. Sack this again. Burn this guy. Get a treasure out of that. He gets me down to... what? 2, I believe? Quite painful. Oh, it kills me. It's 12 damage. So, pretty solid. That was an amazing, amazing combat trick. And I'm not sure I had a way of dealing with that besides, like, I could have double blocked in case of the pump. Might have been smart to do. And then I could have burned him for an extra 2 and probably had the kill. So, sort of underestimated my opponent there. He was very clearly building around +1 counters, but he had really good draws too. hit a ton of the action in his deck. I kind of had a couple different plans in my head there. I really wanted to get 4 treasures, but I ended up needing to use them anyway. Burning off the 2/2 didn't matter. But I was more thinking that, like, if he had like the +1 hexproof spell or the some of the white combat tricks, I could get that extra bit of damage in. But pretty good game. I maybe held on to my dragon a little bit too long, just in hope that I'd be able to activate him. He didn't do me too much good by just not ever blocking in that game. So I probably will cantrip, clash through. It's hard to say though. I have 2 prowess triggers in my hand, or 2 cards with prowess on them in my hand. So maybe not, maybe I'll hold on to this. I was thinking that like it'd be good to draw into a 2-drop, but I don't have that many 2-drops in my deck. So it's unlikely I hit them anyway. And I will counterspell this card. Just to keep the aggro down. That would have been 4 damage this turn. And it's going to be hard to beat a really aggressive deck. So pretty good cards in hand. And I don't think I go for the prowess trigger. I'm going to hold Goblin Wizardry and then hope I get some kind of cheeky trade with the 1/1. The nice thing is that giving something indestructible with this doesn't actually get around Capture Sphere. Cancel. The white-blue aggro deck is running counterspells. Wow. So I get my double vision down. He might feel pretty bad about that. It was a really good cancel for him. He countered a very high value spell. Gets his own Larcenist. Ooh, Geist, pretty sweet. So I'm going to clash through for the double card draw and the prowess trigger. 1 mana, draw 2 cards, pretty solid. Okay, I'll get my land down. I'm sitting on 3, 4, 5 mana. And I'm probably just going to develop my own Shackle. I'm winning on the race right now. He's been weirdly playing control magic. Mix into his high aggro cards. And then next turn being able to double up Geyser is pretty insane. He might have Swift Response. He's waiting on something. Selfless Savior will pause combat, so it's not guaranteed he has an instant speed thing in his hand, but it seems likely. Seems likely. This does double on my opponent's turn if I wanted to deal 1 damage to 2 things, but pretty poor use of that card. So he attacks in for the card draw. Which definitely looks like he has a combat trick. Next turn, Geyser, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Deals 8 damage. So by not blocking, I have lethal next turn, assuming the opponent doesn't do anything too crazy to me. But he's shown one counterspell. Ooh. Baron Talarian the Archmage. Enters the battlefield, return up to one target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. Will he bounce his own thing? It'd be pretty weak. He does too. Wow. Okay, so I have lethal. Leaving open 1 mana will protect me from Lofty Denial. Go to my turn. He could have a swift response, so I have 5, 6, 7 mana. So this deals 10 damage if I cast it using all of my mana. Go for 2 attacks. No swift response. So I'm actually going to see if this damage hits. I only get 1 more by casting Volcanic Geyser now. So it brings him to 8. So if I cast this for 4, it's enough to kill him, and I can pay the mana to not get hit by Lofty Denial. What the poop? What is this? Nyambi, Esteemed Speaker. Flash, enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner hand. If you do, you gain life equal to that creature's converted mana cost. Oh my god. What is this deck? So who do I want to hit with the other one? So he's just comboing his cards down now. Pay 3 tap, discard a legendary card, draw 2 cards. This is so crazy. He is comboing Baron and Nyambi. Double rares. And just bouncing each other and flashing them. This is actually going to be a tough game to win. I did not expect the 2 mana flash rare. So I could have gotten 1 more damage here and 2 more off of Geyser, spending all my mana. So I could have gotten him down to 4 that turn instead of 7 if I full committed. But there's no way that I can predict he has Nyambi in hand with the exact mana to cast it. I think he was oopsing because he didn't sack his guy to give Indestructible. This being in hand is pretty painful. I'm so heavily relying on top decks now. Like, the right top deck will win the game outright. All he's doing is chaining card draw, which is pretty good for me. It means he's not affecting the board. So I could deal 5 if I flash in, capture Sphere. This is kind of done its work now. Exile target creature planeswalker. Its controller creates a 4/4 white flying angel token. So what stage of the game are we at? Declare attackers. So he hasn't declared blocks yet, so I need to do this in time. So tap down the 4/4. Get my prowess trigger. And you might even have Lofty Denial in hand still. That could have been a card. Get my 5 damage in. And now drawing, like, Shock wins the game. Rousing Read would be pretty amazing. Anything that lets me dig through the deck here. It's quite good. See if I'm still on camera here. I'm a very fidgety sitter if you haven't noticed. Aquila. Aquila. Still a pretty hard game to win. This is so weird. So he bounces the 1/1 to his hand so that he gets a card draw at the end of his turn. So he just exchanged Unsubstantiate for whatever's on top of his deck when either of these cards kills him. Like, why would you go for a card draw when you die to what's on board? Like, I guess he didn't have 2 answers in his deck, in his hand. So it needed to draw into, like, Frost Breath or something, but it seemed like he spent a lot of time during that game spinning the wheel, spinning the wheels and not actually using his interactive spells wisely. But that was a crazy game. If he had saved the creature that I killed, the Nyambi rare, what those 2 cards did in tandem was they each bounced each other and drew a card when they did it. So he could just repeatedly cast the blue creature, bounce Nambi to his hand, flash a Nambi, bounce the blue creature, and get a card draw every time he did it. But he's spending like 4 or 5 mana every single turn doing that and not affecting the board. So just by attacking in with the most basic of creatures, I had the win in that game. Kind of crazy. I haven't seen anyone try that before. Like, what are the odds you even draw or draft those 2 exact rares that happen to have this weird combo interaction with one another? Ooh. Bjorn, 248. Pretty sweet hand, double Lofty Denial, Arcanist. So I'm pretty happy with 2 of these in the deck. I think 3 would be kind of overkill. Costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage you dealt to your opponent. So this combos with cards like the Black Shrine, like the 1 mana red creature that burns your opponent. So you get to discount this by like maybe 1 or 2 if you really build around it, which is not really enough to be an effective card. The 1/3 flyer is actually going to put in work this game. And he has the 1 mana open, so I can't effectively counter that. And this game could be a quick loss. This is looking pretty unfortunate. Yep, he's just playing out on curve quite nicely. That is quite good. So I'd rather not attack in and lose the Larcenist. I'm not that desperate for card draw right now. Just having a blocker in the air is really good. But I'm still vulnerable to whatever interaction he has. Curved out very, very nicely. I'm gonna need a little bit of luck to not just lose out in this game. Gets to counter 2 creatures. Yeah. Ouch. That is a nutty combination. So I think I'm just gonna double block here. Let him assign damage. See who he wants to kill. So he assigned to the Larcenist first. So if I cantrip, he shouldn't kill off the 3/3. That is a good card. I think I'm going to keep that on top. So I can bounce something and get an activation on Prowess again. And I'm holding open a counterspell. Counter the crab. I need to do something with it, and I need as many counters here as I can get. Goes to his end step. I could just bounce the 3/3. And I think I will. I want to cast Overload on my next turn, probably. So I drew a mana. That changes quite a bit. Overload creates a 3/3, and I can get back one of these 3 spells. Three on the ground isn't too great right now, and I don't really want... I need 6 mana to use those spells effectively, unless I want a cantrip. So just putting down a 5/5 is pretty good right now. And I've somewhat stemmed the bleeding, but I'm still not in a great spot. Bjorn has quite the deck. Okay, so there's my 6 mana. So I could also just cast a 6/6. If I attack in 2, 3, 4, 5, he doesn't have great blocks. But it means I also don't have great blocks on his turn. Bringing back... So I could create a 3/3, bring back Unsubstantiate, and bounce probably his flyer. But I think I need to turn on the aggression. Start turning the game a little bit in my favor. So he takes 5. I'll put down the 6/6 Trampler. I'm still at parity in the air. He had his own counterspell, which is pretty bad. But he's at least played out his cards in hand. It's a common... Oh my god. What a perfect draw. Top decks read the tides. 0 cards in hand. Refills everything. He spent 3 mana to kill 11/11 worth of stats. That's so insane. Take 2. Okay. So whatever I pull back, he sees. I have 3 mana open. It's kind of between Opt and Unsubstantiate. It's hard to say what's better. But the bounce spell is safer. But I'm out of cards in hand. So this is kind of tough. Yeah, I think I need cantrips. Can't attack. Still on the back foot here. He's had amazing, amazing plays. So I can't counterspell that. He just has a massive abundance of mana. He's going to be able to tap things down on his next turn. Second Enforcer, might as well counter. Just no dead draws. None of the above. Ooh. So next turn he can tap down my flyer. Do whatever he wants, so I guess I should have cast that. Not good. Not good at all. That's going to be game. In pretty short order. Deals 4/5, 6 damage a turn, kills me in 2 turns. Or he's really dumb. Will he continue to be really dumb? There you go, buddy. Kills me in 3 turns. Like, you can tap down the flyer now and do the same attacks, gain 2 more life. Or the ground creature. Doesn't want to do that either. Great. Love it. Love these games. Unfortunate. So sitting at 2 wins, 2 losses. That was kind of backbreaking. He had the perfect draws that game. Our deck is pretty reliant on draw order and these sort of spell combo decks, which is definitely a weakness. So very solid opening hand. I prefer this be a counter spell, but pretty happy to see this. I might hold on to the cantrip. The problem being, like, I can't use this at instant speed. I'm not really hurting for draws, although I'd like to have a 2-mana counter spell. So he's really looking for draws. Red, green. Double cantrips. I can't say what's totally correct, whether this being in my graveyard is better than being in my hand. 1/4, hexproof from blue. Whenever it's dealt damage, you gain 1 life. There's some nice combos you can do with that card, but it's definitely not aggressive. The reach does pose a bit of a problem for my flyer, but I should be able to play around that. Ooh, that Mire is so good. Palladium Mire, 2/2, taps for 2 mana. So he might have a very explosive next turn. So this will get my flyer to be a 4/4, which is what I need. Or I clash. Yeah, it's still a lot better than any of my other plays. Get some of these lands out of my hand. And I might as well do this now. Do I? So next turn I'll have 5 mana. Yeah, I'll cantrip now. I'm almost definitely going to bounce whatever he plays on this turn if he taps out for 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 mana. Could be quite painful. Only a single green source might be in my favor. Quarantini. Buckling down in the safety of his home. What is there to do but play Magic? So he just goes wide on board. So sitting at 5 mana. I will go ahead and attack. I'd like to get rid of the 1/4. Bouncing Palladium Mire is actually pretty effective. I don't really want to block on my turn, but there's no reason to cast this early. I have enough of a lead on the life total, I'm not too worried about just straight up losing to the damage on board, although it is a lot. He can swing in for 7. I cast Goblin Wizardry, I can swing back for quite a lot. So 3 cards with prowess. 3, 4, 5, plus 2 times, plus 1 times 3, swing back for 8 damage, 2 times 3, 6, swing back for 11 damage next turn. So, I'm glad he's being cautious. It is what I need. Gets his own weird down. Only 1 card in hand, so not a lot of payoffs. Ooh, that's a lot of cantrips. Okay. So I definitely want to pressure lethal. Double prowess triggers. I need enough mana to get this to 4 power, because he does have a reach blocker. Interesting cards in hand. I'll discard a red source. Get 1 more land down. I can only cast 1 spell in this turn. So 7 in the air, soon to be 9. Blocks there. So I think I'll just... I could have opted to find a blue source so I can do 2 things, but I think I'd rather just bounce the weird to his hand. So he gets a 1/1 token off that. Still hurting quite badly for blue mana. But next turn I should have lethal in the air if he doesn't answer my cards. There are a lot of cards he could play with reach in green. It's like 2 at common and several at higher rarities. The Gnarled Waywatcher, it's a 4/4 with reach. The Spider, the 1/3 that pumps its power. Ooh. Or just has Volcanic Salvo. X is the total power creatures you control. Deals 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Yeah, that was an amazing card. So not having a second blue source hurt me very badly. Maybe I should have opted into it and then been able to potentially counterspell. But this still only sees 2 cards. And then I'd be taking 4 damage right now from the weird. You'd be able to swing for 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ouch. Not looking good. I don't really have the payoffs for double vision. That's 6 mana. I cast Havoc Jester and opt on his turn to pump this to a 2/2. Or I could play the 6/6 Trampler. But I think I do need to block. So keeping mana open for the opt is going to be important. This is whenever I sacrifice a permanent, so it won't trigger off of him sacrificing. If I can stabilize on board, I have really good cards in hand. But doing that might be a problem. Might be a problem. I have 3 screens of what I'm doing right now in total. 3 monitors and 3 screens, all displaying my single game against Quarantini. It's a crazy good rare. I can see this being very constructed playable. Fits the green-red big guys archetype. My turn. I probably will opt here, although double vision, maybe not. Maybe not. So if he's not attacking me, that's very, very good. The Shacklegeist actually threatens lethal, possibly sooner than Chandra's Incinerator. And it also leaves me open for counter magic. But the opponent has what looks like 7 mana. It's hard to say what's better here. Depends on what he top decks, really, if he can answer my 5/5 or not. Really, I just need to drag the game out long enough I can get enough value out of my spells that the game turns in my favor. Winning through flyers will be a lot easier than winning with tramplers on the ground. So my options now, I can double vision and draw twice, get 2 ops, which sees a lot of cards, but I would like to hold open my counterspell. And he has pretty good blocks right now. But I need to start whittling down his board so that I'm not in range of lethal. And any extra damage I get in will be really nice. So he's going to death touch my guy. I get 4 damage in. Accelerates his death by 2 turns. I'm basically leaving this for either if I top deck a more powerful spell or if I have no other plays in hand. He's close enough to the win that I think leaving open Lofty Denial is going to be pretty important. Okay. Yeah, we don't want that. Oh, the Mire. He had enough mana with the Mire. That hurts a lot. Now, what does he have? Oh my god, yes. Yes! That's amazing. No reach. Getting fire 2 damage. This is overkill. But, like, he could have... I don't know. There's nothing he could really have. But I'm going to play it out this way. And double shock to the face. The double win. Tight game. That's pretty funny. He was going for the exact same win con. Although it was more of a backup plan for me. First time that I've drawn shock in... I gotta fix my mouse here. It drives me nuts. In how many games? That's 3 wins, 2 losses, and 5 games. First time I've seen shock. Alright. I'd love to pull this to 4 wins and break even on the draft. It's kind of the goal. I have quite a lot of resources saved up, but if I can keep these draft videos going and never have to spend money on drafting again, that is kind of the goal. Because I'm definitely not making money. Not doing this. It's just for you. I really wish I didn't see this tooltip all the time. Ideal draws allow you to curve out. The tooltip is basically saying that drawing perfectly is good. We need tooltips to tell us these things. Pretty awesome opening hand, even though I only have 2 mana. 2/2 flyer and a burn spell are kind of backbreaking. One lifelink. So he's not going to make this easy for me. Low to the ground black deck. He probably has quite a lot. Alright, he can't block. Ooh. A good life gain deck definitely scares me. There are a lot of good things you can do with a solid life gain deck. So if he has the 3 mana gold card, that's kind of my worst fear. 1/4 lifelink. If he gains 3 or more life a turn, he deals 3 damage to the opponent, and it's out of range of Scorching Fire. So it means there's no easy way to kill it. 0/3 wall pumps his guys on attacks. I will absolutely trade for this. That is a very scary card. Something I do not want to see on the battlefield. So my opponent is 4 cards in hand to 4. He's played a lot of really low CMC stuff. My 2/2 flyer is basically just keeping him at a reasonable life total. This time I won't block. I do want to get card draw off of Larcenist and have a target for Rousing Reed if I draw it. High value cards. Super high value. So I can pop this to 3 power if I play the Battle Shaman. But I do think I need to answer this. If I attack with 2 creatures, he draws a card. And if I cast 2 spells in a turn, he draws a card. So I'm going to attack in for the draw. And see where he blocks. Pretty fun card. Absolutely, this card is designed for multiplayer. So I'll let damage go through. Then I can burn this down. It's pretty slow tempo play for me. But kind of something I had to do. It's gonna keep gaining 2 life. That's okay. It's not really okay, but there isn't a whole lot I have to say about it. So I'm getting pretty close to a double vision turn where I bounce 2 things. Need 1 more mana for that. The 5/5 blocker is pretty clutch. I definitely need to outvalue my opponent this game. It's looking like he has a combat trick. Oh no, it just pumps itself due to the wall for 5 damage. And I can't keep taking damage that way. The upside is that he doesn't have payoffs for the life gain right now. So he's buffering his life total. But that's about it. That card actually really hurts me right now. This can block creatures with flying. So I think this is where I throw down on double vision. I get hit by 4 or 5 damage next turn. But the 2/2 doesn't really help me, and there won't be a better time to play this. Still going to be a pretty difficult game to win. Daybreak Charger. I might be dead. Not quite. So that's 3, 6, 7, 8 damage that I can't block. I need like Goblin Wizardry to get 2 spells out. Something along those lines. So 4, 7 mana, 4, 7. Trouble here, like, these are all really weak creatures. Bouncing them doesn't really help me that much. Yeah, swinging for lethal is pretty important. So past blockers. I block here. I block the Thallid. And... no, I block these 2. I bounce the Thallid on this guy. So I take no damage, but he gets to replay his hand. Ugh, so I'm not dead yet. Oh yeah, I am. Keep forgetting to put the wall's math into play. Into consideration. This is a card that I really didn't like in my first evaluation, but it works out pretty well if you have enough cheap creatures in your deck. It still, like, does nothing sometimes and just ends up being a dead card. My biggest problem is that I didn't draw enough removal spells to really justify being in red. I kind of forced the color off of 2 rare drafts and then try to make it work from there. Experimental overload is one of the huge payoffs for being in these colors, and only found 1 of those, and not enough cantrips to really up the power level of the deck. Sure Strike. I could see putting in over something like the Battle Rattle Shaman. But this is what it is. 1,000 gems and 2 packs. Pretty okay with that. Anyway, this has been Rational Magic. Thanks for watching. Come back for more limited content each and every day. See you around.